Clark, and this is Lombardi's Bar.
This is one of my favorite podcasts to do.
I'm just, blessed and thankful to be a part of this podcast. It's a great podcast. It's a great interview.
Maybe I know that you guys obviously being the best Packers podcast that's out there.
I had Malort this weekend, so I'm not tasting anything.
Oh, good.
He did.
God.
He did. That was fantastic. Because it said, "Did you ever try Malort?" And I said, "No." And then I said, "Do you want to take a shot of Malort?" I said, "No," but I did.
Wait, who said
it's called peer pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. I tried to get in a high honors English class once, and they called my parents and were like, "Hey, just tell him he can't do it."
It shows. It really shows. I hate you guys so much.
I'm going to throw these two guys into the screen so that if I die, they can carry on the legacy of crap that is this show.
Hello, guys, and welcome back into Lombardi's Bar. We have a special guest with us this evening, so we're going to just bring the guys in immediately so we can get right into that. Come on, Jimmy, Dan, Todd. Did I do that in order correctly? Look at that. Look at me.
I mean, I brought us in the order you asked us to be.
Did I?
Mm-hmm.
I think you did it correct. Dan just followed your lead. Honestly, is how I took it.
It's fine. It's fine.
All I know is I was perfect. So
yeah. Todd did nothing wrong.
Behind every strong black woman is a mediocre white male pulling the strings.
I don't know how to react to that statement. I don't know how to react.
Dan. Anyway.
Said the quiet part out loud.
Okay.
That was a real heat check comment from me to see how committed is Jasmine to my bit.
I feel like out of all, I've never had Dan getting us canceled on our bingo card. But if I did, we would have won it.
It's gonna happen. It was really nice knowing you guys. Well, let's bring in our guest for this evening, a man of many talents. Okay, and he did some great stuff. All right, in June. I mean, 30 freaking stadiums in 30 days. The one, the only, Tom Grossi. Let's bring him in, guys.
Just a muted clap. Honestly, that's about where this should be. Yeah, muted clap is where.
I was gonna be real loud with it. I was gonna give you like a little
a Jersey Shore fist pump.
I
just love the variety of backgrounds here. There's like Packer stuff. There's like beautiful house, and Todd is like in Cape Cod. Like that's just like where that's being taken. So it just works. It works out really well.
Vancouver Island, but yeah, the sentiment
is 6 and 1, half dozen.
Yeah.
Tomato.
You had to be so specific, Todd, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, Todd, thank you so much for being here tonight. And I need to know, how was the 30 and 30?
Thanks for having me. It was good. I mean, my back is still sore. Like I've been meaning to go to the doctor from jumping through the table. And I'm pretty sure something's wrong. Like, because at this point we're like 2 months past. I'm like, it probably shouldn't hurt anymore, but it's only like at night, which I feel like is such a getting older thing, right? Like you get like those aching pains of like, ooh, the knee doesn't feel good. It's about to rain. Like that's how I feel like I'm at this point. So it's good. I'm going to hit 33 in September, and I feel like it's just going to be all downhill. Like this is my first back injury, and it's just never going to get better. But it was an amazing time.
Yeah, it won't. It honestly, that's the thing about backs is once it happens, you're stuck for life.
It just starts piling up. Jay is right here in the comments, though. If you're in Wisconsin, I know a great doctor. His name is Jay Makovic. He can take a look at that for you.
You know what? During training camp, when I'm there in a couple of weeks, I'll go to Green Bay and I'll just make a visit and it'll work out.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, he can set that up. He'll slide in your DMs, probably in a creepy way, but he'll be there. So speaking of 30 for 30, being out on the road, I've been out on the road since March. Any good tips that you picked up for life on the road?
I feel like you just have to constantly lie to yourself because that's what I did every day. I was like, oh, okay, like tomorrow I get to rest. I didn't get to rest, right? Or like, oh, tomorrow I can sleep in. That's a lie. I slept for 3 hours. Like Johnny and I would just tell lies to each other. Be like, you know what? Here's the game plan. Like we'll get off the plane because we took like 25 flights. We'll get off the plane and then we'll get to the hotel. We'll take a nap, right? We'll do that. We never took a nap. So like, I think those little lies that like just get you through the day, which is, honestly for on the road and also at home, like it really makes a difference.
Yeah, I've been lying to myself for years. So no, I appreciate somebody saying keep that going. That's a step to success is just keep lying to yourself. I like that.
People call it delusion. I just call it self-motivation. So it just works out.
Yep.
Yeah. The hotel nap is the biggest lie you could ever tell yourself. Like
Ever.
no one ever's taken a nap at the hotel. Yeah.
No, like I would come back like from a fan event and like Johnny would be sleeping and I'm like, good for you, buddy. Like you tip the cap, right? And you're just like a single tear like rolls down your face and be like, wish I could do that one day. But yeah,
pull the blanket up over him and tuck him in.
Well, it's a crazy thing because when I was home, it was like day 8 was when I was in New York and I got to like be at my house and like sleep in my bed for like 4 to 5 hours. And before I went to bed, I was like up at 2:30 in the morning. And it was like the first time in 8 days that I just stopped and like didn't do anything like actively. Of like, okay, gotta worry about this video, gotta worry about the flight, gotta book this. And like my body like went into a panic and was like, what are you doing? Like you shouldn't be doing this. Like nobody should travel this many days in a row and like jump through a table and do all of these things. And I was just like, all right, time to bury that deep down because I got to go. And then we just kept going. And I just never thought about it again. So it's like having an existential crisis, but you're just like, not now, and put that to the side.
Did you guys start hallucinating with just the lack of sleep? I'm sure like hallucination and also being in the haunted house in New Orleans was probably not a good combination.
So I didn't hallucinate. So I don't think I told this story like on air. During the Dallas meetup, which was day 21, if I'm not mistaken. So this is 3 weeks of straight travel, right? Like I'm exhausted. We go to the fan event and it was supposed to be outside, but then it started like lightning and thunder. And I was like, all right, I gotta make sure like everybody's safe. So we brought them across like the restaurant. So I ran across the street in the pouring rain, like brought like this group of like over 100 people into this bar. And I was like, okay, like everyone got in, held the door for everyone. I was like, all right, let's go. And I walk in and I legitimately like started to pass out. Like I legitimately like saw like stars or whatever. And I was like, no. And I just kept walking and then it went away. And I spent the next 3 hours at the fan meetup. So like those things happened a few times, but yeah, no, other than that, no hallucinating, just a lot of sleep deprivation.
What power of self-control, just telling yourself, stop it. I will not pass out right now.
Yeah, it's just it's like no, like it legitimately, like my body was like, I'm gonna faint. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, you're just not going to. Like there is times like this happened in Washington. I was like, Johnny was editing this video. I just got done with the fan event. Like we've been running around all day, and I was like sitting on my bed. So like my feet are like on the ground. I just laid back, and my body just like passed out for like 15 minutes, just like out. And I woke up. I was like, oh. All right, I guess I needed that. That would happen every now and then. Like my body would just be like, okay, like you're in a bed for 20 minutes. You're done now. Like you're gone. So like my body would just shut down. And then I was like, okay, time to keep going again. So yeah, you just tell it no. It works almost every time.
All right, you brought up Washington. So with Dan Snyder being gone and obviously the worst owner in the NFL being out of there, now with you and your incredible videos, when you see an owner like Jim Irsay start acting the way he is, do you get a little bit excited inside knowing like I'm going to make so many good videos off this?
You know what's really funny is because like with Dan Snyder, like he's just a disgusting human being. And it like really was just like, I felt for the fans too, because like, they're like, I can't even root for my team because it's not like you have a bad player or you have a bad coach or even a bad GM, because all those can go away. When you have a bad owner, like those don't go anywhere very often. So like, I'm very happy for them, but like the Jim Irsay stuff, I like had this idea I was like, let me do like dramatic readings of his tweets because I saw a bunch of them pop up and like they're weird from like whatever he was doing in 2011. And it got to a point where I was like, okay, how ridiculous is this? So I'd like go to the search like part in Twitter, not calling it X, like go in Twitter, like go to his profile. And I would just type in like cookie, like, let's just see if he ever tweeted. And there'd be like 6 tweets about cookies. And I was like, what has this man not tweeted about? So it is just like a treasure trove of just nonsense and crazy ranting. So yeah, I mean, it's content, baby.
Can I ask, after you saw his tweet about Sarah Palin's feet, did you have to Google Sarah Palin's feet? Is that on your Google history now?
No, it's not. But the best part about that tweet is not, I know it's a sin, but I have a crush on Sarah Palin's feet. Because that's the actual tweet. But for a man who is willing to sin and lust over another person's feet, you would think they would spell her name right. He didn't even spell it. And it wasn't even Palin that he got wrong. He just said the wrong Sarah. So I don't know. Like that bothered me the most. It was like, okay, I get it, right? Like we've seen the Rex Ryans of the world. Like, okay, the Quentin Tarantinos out there. But at least like have some respect and spell her name right, you know?
You would think that Google would just autocorrect after he's Googled it so many times. They would know, oh, you're looking for Sarah Palin, right?
I also don't know how many images you have, because if you even think like even on the debate stage, right? Or like there's a podium that's there. So like I don't want to know how many pages of Google searches that he had to go through to actually find like a picture of her feet. But maybe like that's part of the allure, right? It's the mystery. It's just like, ooh, it's like collecting Pokemon cards, right? Like I got to get like the super rare ones. Again, I went down the rabbit hole of his Twitter yesterday and it was a frightening place.
Maybe it was just her shoes, and he's just like confused those two words, right? Like people that call it like they're outside and they refer to the ground as the floor. You're like, that's wrong. Maybe he was like a shoes feet mix up.
He's a real sneakerhead.
Yeah,
he is. He's just like those Adidas that she is wearing are just like
shell toes. Everybody goes wild
right there. I know a Kohl's shoe when I see one. So
those 3 stripes, they get me every time.
Yeah, that's it. The amount of like I bought those shoes because I had a pair and I was like, you know what? I'm going on 30 and 30. Let me buy a nice clean pair from Kohl's, right? Got dirty day 6, like when I'm jumping through a table. But the amount of people that had the exact same shoe that I did, like the exact same one, I was like, Kohl's? They're like, Kohl's. It's just, you just get it.
Tom, we are in the middle of our fantasy draft for the Packers content fantasy league here. And I believe you're on the clock. Do you have your phone?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You want to make us a pick?
You finally decided to draft today? Jeez Louise, Dan. Friggin' it's just taking like 4 or 5 hours. Yeah, hold on. Let's see what we got here.
I will say that I was egged on by Maggie Loney to hold off on my pick as long as possible to ensure that you would draft live on the show.
You know what? I respect that. I respect that. All right, I gotta find it now. I don't think you took them, right? Maybe. Okay, yeah. I'm just gonna do it because you have like 25 people on your team. I'm going Justin Ross because why not? Like he's been making plays. He's making plays in training camp. Like why not? It's an app called Sleeper. Might as well pick Sleepers. Justin Ross. Boom. Nailed it. Love it. Crushed it. I hope that wasn't a whole segment planned. You're like, that was supposed to be a 25-minute segment. I was like, yeah, Justin Ross. I already know what I wanted. All right, guys. What do we got next?
Yeah, cancel the show, guys. We're done.
That's all we had. Thanks for joining us, Tom. It's been a pleasure.
I panicked like a minute 30 before the show. I'm like, I should check and see if he has his phone with him. But then I'm going to tip the whole thing off.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah, it's all right. And then I think Mark is going next. So once Mark goes, I could even go again.
Mark, I think, is saying
all right.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at
that.
This is happening live. Was my turn. I think it was like last night or 2 nights ago. And I drafted like at 10:59 p.m., like a minute before it was supposed to like end, and I made the wrong pick anyway. So it just worked out. That's good. That's fine.
That's all I had, guys. You take the show from here.
Let's go Algier just in case Bijan Robinson gets hurt. All right, done now. Dan, back to you.
So you've had interviews with Mark Murphy the last couple of years. You're heading back to training camp in a couple of weeks. You said. Do you have another one planned with him, or anything else fun planned while you're at training camp?
I do, yeah. So I am going to be interviewing Mark again, which I'm super excited about. I think this is interview 6, maybe 5 or 6. It's one or the other at this point. But like I always like wonder. I was like, all right, like when is he just not going to let me do it anymore? But he's like super kind with his time. So I'm really excited, looking forward to that. Definitely, of course, going to be going to the Patriots Packers preseason game. Going to go see some joint practices. and probably going to host a fan meetup. I should probably, put the details out there of when and where that's going to be. But I was doing a day of on 30 and 30, so it's fine. We'll make it work. But yeah, I'm very excited to go back to Green Bay. That's because I just love training camp. Like I've gone every year now for the past few years, and it's just such like a different environment. And like that's the vacation I get every year, even though I just work. And I just like it's just a different vibe, and it's just always like a really, really good time.
Are you already starting a petition to not let him retire in a couple years just so you can keep doing this?
No. So I'm actually like, this is this weird thing that I've gone through. So I interviewed him in 2016 for the first time. I had a 90-minute interview with him, and like we talked about like everything that you could like how his time as a player, like where he went to school, being an athletic director, like all these things. Right. And from the first second that I met him, he's like, I want the draft. He's like, I want the draft. And every single year it's been, yup, we're doing this. Like we're making more parking lots. We're expanding Titletown. Like I want the draft. And every year I'd be like, okay, like where are we? Like where are we going? So the fact that like, this is pretty incredible. One, he got it, right? Like they did it. They got the draft, but it's happening in 2025 in April, and he has to retire in July of 2025. So like, what a great send off. Like legitimately, it's this weird, like, pride that I feel like I'm legitimately just so happy for him because he is just like a genuinely nice dude. And for him to be working on this for the entire time that I've known him, and for him to get that, and that's kind of like his swan song, like I'm just like super stoked for him. And like that's like the feather in the cap. He's like, all right, Titletown brought the draft to Green Bay. Like that's part of his legacy now.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't really realize that too. That's good for him. He's been incredible for the Packers. And if he would stick around, I would not complain because he has been so great for the organization. But it's also good to get the old people out, I guess, at the same time. But he's different.
The Green Bay Packers, they function better than Congress. But yeah, because they have like the mandatory true story. They have the mandatory like age retirement like at 70. So like Mark Murphy has to leave. It's not like get out. Like we want you to leave, but that's what it's going to look like. So I think at this point, I asked him, I think the last time or 2 times ago, like what his legacy was. He's like, I don't even think about that. Like I'll let people judge that. And now that he's gotten the draft for Green Bay, like that has to be a part of it. And to your point, like I think he does take a lot of flack, and like some stuff he definitely can do better. But for the most part, I think he's been really great for the organization. I mean, he's been behind trading 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and like he's been there for that. And Brett Favre was like right when he got in there. Mm-hmm. So for him to like be able to navigate like all of that, and didn't do everything perfectly, like of course like Devontae, like that's probably like a little bit of a strike, but for the most part, Mark Murphy has definitely been a net positive for the Packers in my opinion.
For sure.
Do you think the draft will be bigger for his legacy than the sledding hill?
So no, right? Because like, let's not be ridiculous now. So I think the sledding hill is obviously like number 1. Yeah. The draft is like a distant number 2, and then there's Titletown. So like it literally is in that order. But the sledding, yeah, I kind of want to like go really old school, maybe, and like I'll print them out for him, like print out some of like Erin's memes. Like,
I was gonna ask about her, yeah.
And here you go, and just like hand them to him and be like, I just want to know if you're aware of this, and like slide them across the table. Just be like, what do you think of this?
Like an FBI dossier, like Mark.
Yeah.
Take a look at these.
A manila folder.
Have you ever went sledding and then slide them that? I have proof. You went sledding all these times.
Yeah, all these times. Like I know that you did. So
yeah,
I think that would just it's just fantastic. Like people take pictures of him, and it's just like, yeah, the high sock game is on point today. Like he has, I don't think any like idea like the memes that have circulated about Mark Murphy, because he's just like, yeah, like whatever, like it's all good. So I think I definitely, before like my very last interview with him, I have to show him the sled memes. I have to.
Tom, why was Detroit your favorite stop on 30 and 30, and was it because you got to meet me?
Well, Detroit is definitely like, it was one of the top. I would tell you, it was one of the top. Obviously, and of course, like, he just added the extra points there. But I think it was also such a great contrast because of how bad Chicago was. Right. And like, I've been to Chicago before. Like, I like Chicago, but good God, like on 30 and 30, it sucked. Like, it crushed us. And to the point where I was like looking at Johnny and we were like, okay, like I don't know if this is gonna work because like this is gonna be rough. But yeah, Detroit was so great, and I think I just have. I don't know, like it means more to me, like because when you tell everybody you're going to 30 NFL stadiums, right? You're going to get a lot of messages of like, oh, be careful here, like, oh, don't go to this city or like stuff like that. And the two cities that I got the most messages about and the most negativity about were Detroit and Baltimore. And both of those places were incredible. Like Detroit, I just had so much genuine fun. I mean, you have cars like going 185 miles an hour on Detroit streets, right? Like, so like they had racing there going on. That was awesome. This city was like super alive. There were some of the kindest people I've ever met in Detroit. So yeah, it was just like a home run. And then, Baltimore was just, that crowd was incredible. So I always like have a soft spot for those cities and places that a lot of people write off, because that's where I try to be like, no, well, look, there's like amazing people here, or here is where like you can have a ton of fun and you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So yeah, I mean, like as someone who grew up outside New York City, every single place has its ups and downs, some more than others. But yeah, Detroit was definitely a top 10 place on that list.
Do you want to bash Chicago a little bit more? Because I like to refer to it as Milwaukee's little brother, or the armpit of America.
Ooh.
So should we just bash that a little bit more?
I mean, like everything went wrong, like everything. So like I went.
This is great.
I had ideas. Like I had grand ideas, and like I got a hotel. It was cheap. Like I got it on the pier, and I was like, perfect. It's 2 miles away from Soldier Field. I'm going to do like a man on the street type interview. Like we're going to rock and roll with that. First, let me go to Soldier Field, do the fan meetup. Then I get stranded 1.5 miles away and like can't call for an Uber because it's all parks over there. And there was like nowhere for them to pick me up. And at that point, Johnny had finished the very first video, which was Green Bay. So I had to run back 1.5 miles in like full jeans, like to get back there in time. Like I am dripping sweat. I don't get to do any of the tourist stuff I wanted to do to like highlight Chicago. We get there, there's issues with the editing. Then we go to upload and the internet speed is 5 megabytes per second. So it takes 1.5 hours just to upload it. We finally upload it, and we were only listening to it on laptop, and we upload it, and we realized as soon as we upload, there's issues with the audio for people who are on their phones. And I was like, cool. This thing that we just spent 3 days doing, like we've spent forever trying to get this to work. That was a problem. At that point, I needed to do the second fan meetup. There was no local businesses around the pier because it's the pier. So they all closed or they weren't nearby. So I had to do the fan meetup there. Then at like 11:30, when the day was finally done, I was like, hey, I should probably eat some food for the first time today. I ordered food. I had it waiting for me at the hotel, and I had an allergic reaction literally as soon as I ate it. So it was just like the best of best days. And I was just like, so that whole video, like if you watch, is me sitting against a window. I have like swollen lips, and I'm just like, Johnny, just turn the camera on, and like I'm gonna use the mic, and I'm just gonna rant for 15 minutes about how this was the worst day ever. And that was the whole video. Like we just like threw in some footage every now and then. But yeah, it was a time. It was a time.
Okay, real quick off the top of your head. Top 3, bottom 3 places that you visit, experiences, not places because everyone's got, something, but experiences you had. Top 3, bottom 3.
All right, so we'll go bottom 3 first. So Chicago's there. Chicago's definitely there. And again, it has nothing to do with the people. Like the people were great. Like the people were great everywhere.
Right,
but that was definitely there.
Yeah.
That sucked. Philadelphia was really bad because the air was trying to kill us that day, because like that was like from the Canadian like wildfires. Like I got all 3 days of that. That was great because we went New York City, Philly, and then Baltimore. And all 3 days, like you shouldn't have been outside. So Philly was really, really bad just for that reason alone. And then Vegas, like, again, the people were really, really cool, but Vegas was actually one of my least favorite stadiums, even though it's like really nice. It's a really, really nice stadium. Don't get me wrong. Like, engineering, super duper cool. Like the staff, they were super cool to us, like not bashing them. The fan meetup was wonderful. This was my first time in Vegas. Like I'd never been there before. And I got off the plane. I'm like walking through the airport, and like, of course, there's like the slot machines and all that. I was like, okay, whatever. And I get there, and I just go into the stadium, and there's no like Raiders anything. Like there's the pro shop, right? But there's no banners. There's no murals. There's the big like electronic torch, but you don't see like anything that actually indicates that the Raiders play football there until like you go into like the club suite levels of like the Champions Club that costs like $1 kajillion. They have like bottle service that's 25 grand. They have sold out season tickets, and the only reason they're sold out is because people buy them and then scalp them to like when the Chiefs come to town, or like when like the Packers come, or the Bengals, you know, like big name teams. They're taking out more seats to put in more suites, and it just was like soulless a bit. And this was coming like after Santa Clara, where I was at the 49ers stadium and there was a ton of Raiders fans there. And like I got an actual opportunity to speak with a lot of them, and they're like, yeah, like they took our team. Like legitimately, like this is a team that like I would go to their stadium, like I grew up, like this was my team. And like, listen, the black hole like had its issues, don't get me wrong, but they're like, they took it away. And for me to go to 29 other stadiums, and for the most part, because it wasn't every single stadium, but for the most part, seeing like the representation of the team, like the passion, or even if it's like the city, like in Atlanta, which is one of my favorite stadiums, like they had Atlanta murals all over, they had local artists, like it was awesome. And then to go here and you like didn't even really know if the Raiders played there, and it costs so much money, and they're really just like catering to tourists. It kind of just rubbed me the wrong way. And it's nothing against them. It's like, they got to make money. I get it. But like the Raiders have like no tie to Vegas. And that was like very, very evident. So those would be like my bottom three. Top three, Denver is definitely up there. Denver was an amazing time. I got to meet Brandon Perna for the first time, and like the Broncos went like all out. So that was really, really cool. Baltimore is probably going to be on there as well, because it kind of like saved the trip a bit. And then like, oh God, that other third one, like that's tough. Like Detroit's up there, Buffalo's up there, Green Bay, of course, is on there too. Dallas is up there. This is going to pain me. It's going to pain me so much. I really liked Seattle. I really liked it. And folks, like I really tried not to. I really, really tried not to. Like I went in biased as hell. Like I went in, I know it's Seattle. Like I went into that and I was like, all right, this is going to be terrible, right? It's not going to be good. The Seahawks hurt me so bad over the years. Like I'm not going to give them an inch. And like, I'm running on 2.5 hours of sleep. Johnny pulled an all-nighter, and like, we're on the plane. It's the longest flight of the entire tour, because it's from Denver to Seattle. So I was like, all right, good. We're off to a good start. I'm not going to like this. And I open the window after getting like 20 whole minutes of sleep, and I see Mount Rainier, and I'm like, oh no, that's beautiful. And then like, I get out of like the airport, and I'm looking around, and I was like, there's nature everywhere. Crap. And then like we get into downtown, and there's like the grunge scene and like the punk scene, and I'm like, crap, I like all of this. And then we get to the stadium. I'm like, all right, this is. And they were so over the top nice. And I was like, all right. But like after that, like the fans, they're going to be ruthless. Nope. Set a fan event. There was like 125 people there. The power went out before I even got to the fan event. They just walked across the street. We did it literally on the sidewalk. And I was like, I got 2 hours, guys, because Seattle, like they gave me Sounders tickets, which of course they were nice about that too. And like we did, like in 2 hours, I got through 125 people and just like signed everything, like took pictures with everybody. And then the Sounders game was amazing. So yeah, Seattle was pretty damn good, despite all of the pain and suffering that fan base has caused me.
You tried so hard to hate it.
I tried so hard. I really did.
I could see it just in your eyes, just like really fighting.
Taking the picture, I'm like, just like forcing to smile. Like I went to the Sounders game, and it was Pride Night, and like they were so unapologetically accepting, and I was just like, this is so effing awesome. Like especially coming from an NFL background, where like if a single team like puts up like pride colors or anything, it's just a cesspool, like every single comment like underneath. So to go there in the Sounders, and they're like, no, like we'll beat the crap out of you, like if you're not inclusive. I'm like, I love that so much. Like it was a vibe. It was a vibe.
Love it. Well, I know we don't want to keep you too long. You guys have any last minute questions for Tom?
I'm sure Jimmy's got something kicking around in that brain of his. It's a scary place.
And honestly, I did when you were talking about Seattle. I thought, did you just picture Pete Carroll chewing gum to like make it worse for you?
Yeah, I did. Because like we walked past, like they have pictures of the Fail Mary. They have pictures of the NFC Championship game, and they were just like, I made jokes to them. So like this is like very, like I don't think I shared this. So the Seahawks are one of the first teams to say yes, and we're like very excited about it. So unfortunately, the way that things like lined up, the only day that I could be there was that Saturday, and they had the Sounders game. What they had planned for me was to right the wrong of the NFC Championship game, and they were like gonna kick an onside kick to me, and like I was gonna actually catch it. Like that was a legit thing they were gonna do. And then they like ran it up the flagpole, and then the Sounders were like, we can't because like we need the field. But then they were like, wait, does that make the Seahawks look bad? I was like, no. That you guys I was like, no, love this. So yeah, no, it was great. And they were like, yeah, there's only like, like one picture. There's only one picture of the Packers. There was like 2 or 3. And I was like, I thought we were friends. I really thought we were, but no, they were so cool. Like they were great people.
I wish you got to meet Marshawn Lynch. That's my life goal, is to meet him. And if you could have, I would have hugged you after hugging him. Just to get some ambiance of him.
Yeah.
It's a transitive property. It works.
Yeah. Science, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So fun fact, his helmet from that NFC Championship game is actually up for auction right now. Like the one that he wore. And I looked at that and I was like, nope. Like not in, and it was actually going for like relatively like cheap compared to what I thought it'd be going. And I was like, nope, no way in hell. Like there is no way. Like unless I legitimately like burned it and was like, maybe this is exercising the demons. But no,
just give it to me and curse me. I'll accept it. I will take all the bad juju from that.
You'll put it like right in the crevice of all those Packers jerseys.
I will wear it. I don't even care. I love them so much.
So before you go, Tom, what is the next big undertaking for you? Tell the people. They want to know.
There's 2 big things. One, I can like tell you exactly what it is because I've kind of already announced it. So like I'll talk about this in the 2024 draft, like when it happens. But the next thing I'm going to do is next season, I'm going to go to a game in every single stadium and just have like a massive tailgate for like to really show off like all the fans on game day. Cause we've seen them all empty now. And so now it's time to be like, hey, let's see what these look like when they're full. It also makes my life a lot easier because 1, it's not in 30 days and it's stretched over an entire season. And 2, like I don't have to worry about the fan meetups because they're all going to be outside the stadium because we're tailgating. So like that'll be really, really nice. And then the other idea, which is like 2 years away, it's 2 seasons away. Yeah, that's a bit of a bigger one, but that's going to be announced the 2025 draft. So yeah, in Green Bay. But that one, I'm going to try to change the face of sports media. Just like that little thing. Just
small, just a small,
just a small.
Well, I mean, like I feel like if there is anyone that can relate to this, right? It's everyone here. I find this is not taking any shots. I have found that there is a certain, how do I put this? There's like a certain, like it's very inclusive over in Lambeau, right? Between like the beat reporters and stuff like that. Like they have their own culture and like obviously they get along really, really well because they all work together. But it's kind of like the creators from the outside, which is like myself. And then there's like everyone who gets like all the access. And this has nothing to do with the Packers or even beat reporters, but there's just things that I've wanted sports media to do for such a long time. And I've been waiting for them to do it. And I've kind of just gotten tired of waiting for it. And like 30 and 30 kind of like sparked that because like I had no connections with these teams. Like obviously like the Packers, like I have some connections with them and like a handful of others. But like going into that entire experience, like I had 6 teams say yes to me of like, yeah, we'll give you a tour. And I was like, that's not a lot. Like 6 out of the 30 is rough. And then by the time it was done, it was 18 out of 30, which like I'm super happy with. So, we got to work with 18 teams and go into 18 stadiums. So like being able to do that and getting all the connections that I now have, with a bunch of different other organizations. Yeah, I'm going to like make a big swing. And if it fails, it fails, just like this could have failed. And if it doesn't, well, I'm just not going to let it fail. So yeah, we're going to rock.
I love that energy.
Like my body. I'm just be like, no.
Yeah, no. If you need 3 people or 4 people, Jasmine, if you want to lift too, to like lift things in and out of cars or just like clean your cars as you're going, just let us know and I'll do it. Your car will be spotless. I will Tasmanian Devil from Space Jam it all day.
My 2013 Hyundai Sonata with 162,000 miles on it, it does need to get cleaned. So, I mean, like,
spit shine.
I'll give you a call.
Jimmy took a very different vibe from all of that because I was like, oh, Tom is toppling the proletariat of sports media. I'm in. Like, revolt. Let's go. One more day. I'm in.
I don't expect to be added to that because I'm an idiot and I know I can clean a car. So that's where I
like, I want to put my best skills forward here.
Yeah, I know my level.
Bring to the table.
I will get everybody sandwiches.
Dan, I also love, like, do you guys alternate, like, who gets their face obstructed by the sign every single week? Because I feel like
this is the first time we've tried this setup. So I was trying to rotate who was getting the Mike Wazowski.
Yeah, because I was just about to say the Mike Wazowski treatment. So yeah. That, I feel bad, Dan. Like, you know,
Dan, you can remove that part though. Like that is an option. You could have just.
You're just like, no, we need it for the brand. It's for the brand. We need to brand it.
How else will people know what they're watching?
They're gonna have no idea.
Well, Tom, where can everyone find you? That I mean, most people I feel like are already following you, but you can tell them.
It's just that Tom Grossi's comedy. It's that, and it's find it. Don't. It's all good. I won't judge anybody who doesn't. It's all good. It's fine. That's my promoting every show. They're just like, where do I find you? I'm like, this is my name. If you want to, you don't have to. Like, it's whatever you want. I feel bad. Sorry.
Well, thank you.
No, I appreciate y'all for having me. This was fun.
Thank you, Tom. Really appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, of course. You have a great night, everybody.
See ya.
Take care.
Ooh, that was too big. I didn't like myself that big. I also want to shout out the entire Grossi posse jumping into the chat as well.
Dude, he has the best following, honestly. Like just their support of him and just always jumping in and boosting him up. It's
the second best. Ours is first and foremost Jimmy, and then the Grossi posse.
Yeah, I guess number wise, you can say his. Commitment wise, maybe I don't know, but our three people are fantastic.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the 3 or 4 people that we've got. They're the best.
The three people that come into this chat every day to make January 6th jokes about me and rip on Jimmy.
My intelligence. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Listen, I almost called you guys out if you had put me behind that Lombardi bar sign. I was like, you can't. I'm the only one of color in this. You cannot block me. I already
made the really bad joke earlier, Jasmine. I was not going to put you behind the look.
It made me giggle. I was just shocked it came from you out of anybody. Like I expected Todd, no offense, to do the first one.
Hold on.
And then when you did, I was like, what?
When have I? No, let's not go there.
Yeah. Buy a round, pay the tab.
Yes, right into it. Buy a round.
Jump into it, guys.
All right, Todd, go. Who do you want to buy a round? Todd.
I'm gonna go with Mike Holmgren. I don't know if you guys caught it or not. Jacob Westendorf wrote an article, I believe it was on SI.com, about just the culture shift that came with him. I don't really know what it was about. I skimmed it, to be honest. But it was, I think just fun to look back on the years that he came in. I'm fortunate as a Packers fan in my late 30s that all I've known is pretty much dominance throughout. There's been a hiccup here or there, but that all started and let's not forget the Ray Rhodes year. But for the most part, we've been pretty lucky as Packer fans. So having that all kind of go back to Big Mike was great. So shout out to him. Buy him around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to say something, Dan, before I cut you off?
No.
Okay.
There's nothing
Dan,
to add to that.
Who do you want to buy around?
Great feedback, boys.
Honestly, sometimes there's rare occasions where someone says something that you don't need to add on to, and Todd hit it.
10 out of 10.
I hate giving it.
I was going to say
3 weeks in a row. Todd
10.
did something that it was like, good point, Todd. he made a funny joke, and now he made a great point. Like he's on fire.
Okay, we'll just go right to Dan then.
Or it's just who I am, Jimmy. This is
It
what
took-
I do. I've
It
been
took
doing
4
this.
seasons, but we're there.
Do you want to count MVPs? I think I've been doing it a little bit more than just the last couple
I'm
shows.
still not sure that you haven't paid people off, so I will not admit that until I hire a private investigator.
Dan
Truthfully.
runs the voting. How am I paying people off?
The whole
To
fucking
vote.
thing is a bit. It's a bit.
Oh, God, you guys.
I hate it. I would like to buy a round for the rookie Anders Carlson, because my dude is taking on an impossible task and trying to fill the shoes of a Packer legend in Mason Crosby, and he has had ups and downs the first couple of days of training camp. However, I still believe in the young kid, and this is unsubstantiated, but what I saw was that he is perfect with Pat O'Donnell as his holder on kicks, but with this, is he Irish? The Irish punter? That's where he's been having the trouble with kicks. So
damn
I
it's Irish
have,
people.
I was blaming Irishmen now. Sorry, continue.
If you're from that country, we don't trust you.
So I got faith in the young kid Carlson, and so I'm going to buy him a round. Show of support.
I disagree with that.
Yeah, I'm with Todd on this one. I hate it.
He's,
but I'm
he's
with
had
Todd.
ups and downs and lefts and rights and just not
Okay, well
good.
played. That was good. That was good.
I mean, it's just bad. It's
The only thing I'm confused about is why isn't there any competition for him? Because even with Mason, who's been like a solid veteran throughout his years in Green Bay, he's had a competition multiple years. So I'm confused on why we haven't brought in anybody to compete with a rookie. Like that's where I'm confused.
Well, I would, if I was good at my job, I would have Googled and seen if they gave Mason Crosby training camp challenge when he was a young rookie, because it's the same situation. They drafted Mason.
They gave it to him when he was a veteran.
Yeah, I feel like that's worse. Like
Yeah.
I feel like when you give it to them, it should be when they're young, just like they're doing to Josh Meyer right now. You give it to them when they're young, and then hopefully they grow into what you expect.
I'm
like,
not going
hey,
to cut that at all. That's audio that's going to be gold at some point in chat.
I'm not saying Josh Meyer's gonna be good. I'm just saying.
You know what? Here, Iowa Joe brings up a good point, because you want to give a young kid like that as many reps as he can in the system. You don't need him splitting time between somebody else.
I mean, either you kick it good or you don't. I feel like it's pretty straightforward.
Like, well,
right.
and here's the thing. Like they do 6 field goals in a practice. So if you bring in another guy, it can't take that much longer to do 8 or 9. Like it's just one of those things. Like that always blows my mind that they're like this entire practice session and they're like, the kicking game's super important. We've got time for 4. We can do 4 today.
Well, you got to practice kickoffs, and you got to do, he's got to be able to go fill up the Gatorade bottles.
That's his part-time job.
Yeah, probably.
All right, Jimmy, who do you want to buy around for?
I did Carrington Valentine, 6th, 7th
It's a
round
real
pick,
person.
7th round pick, I believe. And Mel Kiper was saying how he was the steal of the draft and getting everyone hyped. He was saying early on, this was from Andy Herman on his Pack a Day podcast video that he puts out every day. And right away, he was talking about how he's going to be the steal of the draft. He was harping on like 5th round. How hasn't he been taken yet? And so far with Packers camp, he has been killing it. During OTAs and mini camp, he got to go a lot with the ones with Watson and Dobbs. And now he just had a pick 6. Granted, it was against Danny Etling, Dan's guy. But he's been killing it this camp, making splash plays and really kind of giving us some depth. Because in reality, when Stokes comes back, we have our top 4 guys set. Jair, Rasul, Stokes, Nixon. Like those guys are solidified. But bringing in Carrington Valentine and seeing where he can line up, like with contracts coming up, Stokes, injury, seeing how he performs after he comes back, like he's providing a lot of depth. And it's we give Goody so much shit a lot of the times, and by we I mean Packer fans, for the whole Rodgers stuff, and the third round curse that we've had. But we've had some steals.
We'll buy
in the
another
late round.
jersey. That's
I
gonna
did.
help things. Yeah, that'll help.
I got you, babe. We've had so many late round people that should not perform like they are. And even like, I'll get to him in a little bit, but like Zach Tom, we have another later round pick that's playing multiple positions. One's with the right tackle, one's with the center. Our scouting staff and GM should not get any crap because of the Rodgers situation, because they have given us talent in later rounds like we have right now with Valentine that a lot of teams don't have. So seeing him, he has a lot of potential. I'm excited for it. And I'm a Goody fanboy, if you can't tell. So I'm pumped for it.
Great input, Jimmy. Thank you.
That's the way you said fanboy. I don't know.
I am. I would kiss him on the mouth. I'm fine with it.
Dan, don't.
I flunked out of German. I flunked out of German.
Yeah, don't do it. That's so risky. I know.
I can't. I know a couple of words. I can count. I think to
Jasmine. Can you get this
actually
back on the road, please?
I was going to say I'm really scared. I don't know.
I can count kind of high in German, and that was about all I remember from.
Pay the tab, class. Kids. Who wants to go first? Jasmine, hand it off.
I was trying to be nice, okay?
Todd. When Dan starts going down these weird roads, you just got to cut him off. And
when you hear MASH, soccer, or different languages,
anything about his accents,
different languages. When have I ever brought up a different language?
I don't know. You counted in different. German. Week one, you counted in different languages.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Todd. Who do you want to pay the tab?
That's true.
Let's go.
We've mentioned him a little bit. I'm going wheeling and dealing.
Oh,
that's a puncher. I got his name right.
We didn't fucking hear it.
No one heard it.
We didn't fucking hear it.
Cut out right when he said it.
Terrific. Then I missed it and I didn't say it. We're gonna switch it up. I was gonna talk nice a little bit here, and by talk nice, I mean just.
It's pay the tab. This is the not nice part.
Yeah.
Me talking about a punter is me talking nice about punter.
Okay.
Oh, that's fair.
So, yeah, I guess there's another punter in camp, and that just seems kind of pointless at this point. Pay the tab. Get the hell out of here.
All the punters.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Get out.
Yeah,
Get out.
I mean, POC's there. What do we need another guy run around? He needs the reps. He's got to be too much. He can't hold, apparently.
I forgot
what the hell is he doing?
Thing from last year.
Okay.
Dan was super confident, Todd was super confident his initials are POC.
Mm-hmm.
But we had to inform him it's POD. But he's still going
punter,
with it.
I don't care.
The women's team looked disjointed, and Rose Lavelle is out for their big game against Sweden, and they didn't finish top.
Jasmine, this is your job.
What do you yell over him? I can't do anything.
Get her out of here. It's trash.
Anyway,
can't be bringing that up.
Jimmy.
Yes.
Who do you want to pay the tab?
For pay the tab, I'm bringing up my slides because I forgot. I want Josh Meyer. He got kicked out of the number one spot for center. They brought in two different centers. I think part of that was Jake Hansen going down, who also not that great. But Zach Tom, who was starting at right tackle, moved to center for the ones in a few of the drills yesterday. He's second round pick. We had high expectations for him, taken in front of Humphrey, who has been an incredible center for the Chiefs, I believe. Like, he has a lot of work to do to kind of live up to the hype a lot of people put around him. And he's getting so much shit because he has plays where he pulls and he's in the run game and he'll make a great block, a great play, but it's just not consistent, which again is why the Packers are moving the offensive line around. And you want to just see him kind of step it up a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him at guard. If Zach Tom takes the center position, him battling with Runyon, because I know he does great in pass situations, not so much in run. So if Meyer is able to transition to that position, that would be fantastic. But just being a second round pick, having the expectations, he's not living up to it. Like, you have to pay the tab at this point. Either show you're valuable to the team or you're going to be a cut. I don't think this year, but probably next year if you're not a serviceable starter.
For the record, no, I was not calling Katie trash. The question was trash.
I mean, Josh.
Good
Josh,
rambling on Josh Meyer, though, Jimmy. That was great.
I like to call it ranting instead of rambling, but
sure.
Thank you.
Josh, I from the scuttlebutt that I've heard from around Josh's hometown, after his rookie year, so before this past season, he made someone asked him if he was going to be buying a home in Green Bay yet, and he made the comment that he did not want to buy a home in Green Bay until he thought that he had earned his spot on the team. And so even going into last season, he felt he hadn't earned his starting role as a longtime starter. And so, yeah, I'm wondering if he doesn't think he's going to be there for very long, if he just doesn't. I think it's going to take an impressive performance, I think, this year to keep him as the center moving forward, because this will be his third season. So he'll be coming up for a contract very soon.
The thing with him, though, is like his first year was he had that hand injury that turned to a staph infection that cost him a lot of time. Last year, there was a lot of ups, but also some downs. And we've seen with the Packers before with the offensive line, what was his name? Braden was starting at like right tackle or right guard during camp a lot, running with the ones. And I think they do this stuff in camp to kind of like push you and have that sense of competition, even though in their minds maybe there's not. So we could be seeing that with the offensive line right now. But yeah, I have a hard time. I think for me is like playing Zach Tom at the one and also bringing in two centers makes me think like it's not their normal, like, let's get a sense of competition. So yeah, I'm with you. I think he really could sooner rather than I do. I thought he took me out. I don't think it's this year, but I could see them this year to be absolutely stupid. Like taking him out this year, cutting him would be dumb because he is serviceable as a center. Like he's not the top center you would hope, but he is serviceable. Taking him out this year would be surprising, but I don't see them. If he doesn't improve, I could see him being a cut next year for sure.
And I'm honestly hoping for a really good bounce back year this year, because if they do want to go more run heavy, more read option, that's what he ran in Ohio State. That's what he's comfortable in. And so I'm hoping he kind of molds a little bit better in this offense.
And that's where you see his best play. Like there's plays where he pulls and he is incredible. Like he'll hit somebody, which is fantastic, which is why mine is like, maybe he would be better at guard than center. Like just take some of the stress away of being like the captain of that offensive line and just having him at guard where it's like, you know, your role, someone tells you and you just fucking execute it. And like, that could be better for him. I do think there's a spot for him. So we'll see. I don't know. It's always Packers are so interesting. And this is what I appreciate them. I know we were short on time, so we probably won't dive too much, but with the offensive line, I do really love the shuffling they're doing and really making sure they have the best five out there for Jordan Love, because that's going to make all the world of difference. Like we saw that last year when they had Royce Newman out there and all of that, like getting the solid five out there for Jordan Love, a first-time quarterback starting, like that's going to be important. And I appreciate the shuffling around, because why not exhaust every option you have before rolling out week one and being confident in the team, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Dan,
have we just officially lost Todd?
Probably.
Yeah, he's dead.
Maybe the bear finally got him. Maybe.
No. One could hope.
Just imagine the bear coming up and like slowly closing the laptop, like listen.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I don't want anyone to see this.
You don't want to see this guy.
Oh, he's back. I see him. There he is.
Speak of the devil.
He lives.
Good. We're good.
Dan, who do you want to pay the tab?
I'm gonna have the Packers front office / Packers social media pay the tab here, because you sent out the tweet wishing Jonathan Garvin a happy birthday, and then 2 hours later you cut his ass.
And then deleted the tweet.
And then there's got to be some coordination there, guys.
Just a little. But now there's someone new, right? Doing the social media? or did we just make that up on Packers Twitter?
We're feeling a little different vibe. They're tweeting out Taylor Swift lyrics. It's kind of like your 45-year-old mom trying to be cool. Like,
I appreciate it, though.
What if I was like, it's me, guys? Surprise.
I'd say you're a liar.
We would have
not
some
to do
real
that to us
conversations.
I would absolutely be
We
lying.
know better because you would do a much better job.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't like Taylor Swift like that either. Oopsies.
Yeah, because she's overrated and not that good.
Okay, we can't. We have to be kind of nice, okay? Just in case there's some Taylor fans. Okay. All right. Camp highlights real quick. Do you guys want to dig into that? Who's itching to talk about some highlights?
Jordan Love's probably going to the Hall of Fame. I don't think I'm overreacting.
Wait.
He has been dropping dimes in practice.
It's such a 180 from last
I love
week.
it.
He played better. Look, last
You
week
did
when
say
we
that.
did the
He
show,
said that. He
he
said that.
played bad. And I said if he comes around, we'll change. But he's played better, and I think he's going to the Hall of Fame, and I'm not overreacting.
I'm not over this week anyway.
One thing I saw, Dan, you would love this. Van Ness.
Mhm.
This is your pay the tab last week. Van Ness is running with the ones. So it's Preston Smith, Van Ness. I'm excited to see what they do when Rashawn Gary comes back. If they start moving one of them inside like they did with Zadarius Smith, who I don't like to mention in positive lights anymore. But if they have all three of them on the field, like that could be a problem. And yeah, apparently he had a great bull rush. Unfortunately, no, that was Wyatt. But I know he had DeGuara. He knocked him a few yards back on a run play to disrupt it. So he's making plays, moving up to the ones, and like that's really what you want to see from your first round pick. And I think he'll be a big part of this season, especially with Rashawn Gary's injury.
I gotta say, the sexy highlight of Dobbs over Jay Alexander like that. I loved seeing that. The other one too, I forget who he was thrown to. Whoever it was didn't complete the pass, but Jordan Love had an amazing throw to kind of piggyback off of Jimmy here. Had an amazing throw on the run, and just like it looked like an Aaron Rodgers type throw, like on the run, throwing to the far side of the field, placing it perfectly where it needed to be. The guy just doesn't catch the ball.
Reed.
Yeah.
Was it Reed?
Jalen Reed. Yeah.
Look at Todd taking notes.
I know things.
I can't.
But no, like you said, Dan, like that really was Rodgers-esque and just the effort. Like it seemed like effortless to where he just was running. It was like, I'll throw it, and just perfect spot. So yeah, no, that was beautiful. I do have a question of Jair mentioning how, as he refers to him, G Money, aka Greg Williams, the new secondary coach, helping him press more on the line of scrimmage and like his alignment. Do you think that actually matters when we get into the season and Joe Barry calls the defense? Like, do you think that's actually a switch that's going to happen? Or is that just him trying to say something he's working on right now?
Yes.
It's hard because we've had this come up so many times, but it always feels like it's Jair kind of putting the pressure publicly on Joe Barry of saying, like, when he talks about these things that are happening behind the scenes, that the players want to play this way, or the players really enjoy doing this, and that the players are really feeling themselves when they play, more zone. Like they are putting the pressure on Joe Barry more, so that we can look back on this comment in week 4 and 5 when we're like, why are they pressing more at the line? Jair said they were working on it in training camp and they really liked it. That's my take.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw Ja's interview. It's either today or yesterday where he said, like, last year they were just making a bunch of excuses as players, and it doesn't matter what Joe Barry's going to call what he wants to call. They've got to make the plays. And whether that means Joe Barry's telling him to line up 10 yards off the ball, then be the best cornerback in the league that's 10 yards off the ball. Or if he wants you pressing, then be the best cornerback in the league that's pressing. Like, at the end of the day, the players got to make the plays. And I think that's something that we saw getting missed a ton last year.
The only counter to that is, like, when you're 10 yards off the ball on a 3rd and 3, you're not being put in the best position to stop that 3rd down. You know,
Right.
like that's
if
my
you're
only
playing against
thing.
Aaron Rodgers, you are, because you know that's going to be a 25-yard deep ball.
Yeah, that's the thing though. They weren't going against Aaron Rodgers.
Zinger.
Every other corner knew exactly what they were going against. But that's a great point, honestly. Maybe they're just
Those are the only kind I make.
Facing Jet. Damn it, you're right.
Can't
Yeah,
learn
no,
how
I-
those easy ones.
Devontae Wyatt, I saw that in the chat too. Gil put it. I didn't touch it. My hands are over here. But Gil put Wyatt's impressing. I think that's huge for that defensive line. If you can get Wyatt and Clark on the inside, causing havoc. Slayton too has been having a great camp. Add that with Van Ness coming up and Rashawn Gary getting healthy. Like we've said this last year, especially. I was on the hype train of like, we have a top 10 defense, doesn't matter. But if those players really are, if Kenny Clark finally has help and that athleticism and explosiveness and hustle that Wyatt has shown, that is a different defensive line. Because as Dan likes to point out, Dean Lowry is usually standing straight up the second the ball's hiked and not being in the backfield. So it could be a different defensive line, which I'm pumped about.
Here's a question I know the answer to, but I'm sure a lot of people watching don't know. Dean Lowry's not on the team anymore, right?
Vikings.
Let's go. I knew that, but I
you knew it. Yeah.
I could feel some of the people in the chat not being totally sure, so I wanted to clear that up.
Dumbass.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
How are you
I think
feeling?
that does it.
I feel very like serene watching Todd's background right now. Kind of makes me just
It's like a Microsoft screensaver.
yeah.
It does look like he has a green screen.
The sunset here last night was absolutely incredible. Waking
How
up,
was the supermoon?
because of the side of the island I'm on, I didn't see it until later, and so it was already just a big moon up in the air. It wasn't anything real cool. Wasn't worth getting out of the vehicle for.
Looking out the window.
He just rolled down.
I was gonna say, I did like this. For some reason, I just feel like you have a manual roll down.
Yeah, I moved my cover for a second. Oh, the moon's up. Okay, well, we're gonna go back to sleep now.
I do like the picture of Todd going, God damn it, I gotta look at this.
That's all I can imagine. Oh,
the only car that was made in a 2022 model that has a manual roll up.
Yeah, you call them as like, hey guys, I need a manual.
Just the one
roll
window. Yeah, yeah. I had it put in after I bought it. I was like, this isn't gonna work for me in this one specific window. Everything else powered. That one, nope.
Honestly, I could see it.
All right, where can everyone find you, Dan?
Right there, at DK all the way, baby.
Todd.
You can find me out here somewhere.
Yes,
I don't know.
find him in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And Jimmy.
I'll give you an answer. Jimmy_C08. Also follow us on YouTube, Game On Wisconsin, Game On WI. Same with Twitter, Instagram. We're putting stuff out. And if you want to follow us on TikTok, we are on there now, Game On WI. You'll see a lot of our faces, a lot of our dumb words. But we're trying to boost that up and be one of those cool kids, as Todd did.
Kids. We love that.
I'm doing a TikTok video. Dancing.
Yeah,
I thought you were.
Dan's gonna do a lot of dancing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. You can find me at JasmineAshley22, all platforms. I'm too old to change anything. And thank you guys. This was a fun episode. I laughed.
Big shout out to the Grossi Posse for stepping in.
They were amazing.
Seriously, Grossi Posse is incredible
and so nice.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next week.
Peace, everybody.
Bye.